In 1956, there were 12,000 drive-ins in America. 95% of those are dead. And yet there are native Indians, the Crankaway Indians of Texas, who believe there is a spirit that lives on in these decayed temples where Americans once worshiped. They call it Wiskavanaha, or the spirit of blood, breast, and beasts, or the 3 Bs. What you are about to witness is a summoning of that spirit, a return to a part of the American heritage that has all but vanished. It's a heritage of drive-in movies, controversial movies, groundbreaking movies, the weird, the offbeat, the strange, and most of all, the sleazy. You are about to experience one of the sleaziest movies in the history of the world.
I don't know about you, whenever I see a sight like this along the American highway, I get kind of steamed. There's not even any place where you can watch the classic movies anymore. Movies like Please Don't Eat My Mother and Gas Pump Girls and Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS. They made blood-sucking freaks today. Who knows if anybody'd even get a chance to see it? Not to mention the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. At least Saw is still the king after all these years. But I'm determined to do more than that. This series will bring you 1,000 of the sleaziest drive-in movies ever released. And this project, at our current rate of release, will be completed in the year 2116. Because that's how dedicated we are to the preservation of the drive-in movie. Kind of makes you sick, don't it? Howdy, welcome to my place, and welcome once again to the sleaziest movies in the history of the world. This is our official headquarters here, and you will notice that here in my hand I'm holding the actual axe used in the classic film we're about to watch, just for the hell of it. You probably remember the scene where a gang of vicious teenage hoods chop up a perfectly good rowboat, and then they beat up 2 lovers on the beach and throw the unconscious guy into the surf. This movie was made by Herschel Gordon Lewis, the father of the gore film, the man who has put every disgusting thing on film you can think of, from women getting their tongues ripped out on camera to lunatics carving up stomachs with machetes, to guy getting pulled apart by wild horses. But if you showed all those movies to your mama and asked her which one was the scariest, I know what she would say. She would say it's this one that we're going to watch. And you know why that is? Because he finally made one about your parents' ultimate nightmare, roving gangs of violent teenagers stoked up on grass, rock music, and free sex. This is a solid hour and a half of snotty teenagers acting like snotty teenagers. See, they start out with simple stuff. Start out with stuff like breaking windows, throwing paint on old men, setting fire to newspapers while people are still reading the newspapers. I mean, stealing a cop's helmet. They rip down people's laundry and stomp all over it. Can you believe that? And why do they do all this stuff? For the hell of it. Just for the hell of it. But we know things are getting really serious when one day they go into a dentist's office and they tear up all the magazines in the waiting room. Can you believe that? That's sick. It's only a matter of time before they're roving through the cafeterias, plastering people with cream pies, and then hammering bicycles and beating up little leaguers. And then only Herschel could think of this stuff. Then a guy walks out of the hospital on crutches, and the gang takes his crutches away and beats him over the head with the crutches. But that's not enough for these people, because they're teenagers. They're vicious teenagers. They're still not satisfied. And then they go steal this woman's baby, and they put the baby in a garbage can. And do you know why they do all this? I know, just for the hell of it, right. But more important, because they're teenagers. This movie confirms every nightmare people have had about teenagers in the late 60s, early 70s. Well, shoot, for that matter, they still have these nightmares about teenagers. But we do have a pretty good movie here. We have a low body count, just 2 stiffs in this movie. We have no breasts. But once you see the scene where they lure the innocent high school girls to their lair, then drug their drinks and wrestle them onto the floor, you will never trust a teenager again. So here it is. And for those of you that have teenagers in the house, you want to round them up and bring them over to watch this movie, because as soon as this movie's over, you're going to want to beat them up. So get ready for just for the hell of it. I hate these teenagers. Well, I got a wing nut that's gone haywire on that thing, so I got to get that thing fixed. Well, I had forgotten all about that scene where they burn the restaurant owner's hand on the stove. That is a great scene where they trash that restaurant. That's wonderful. I asked Herschel Gordon Lewis one time what he was going for when he made this movie, and he said, I was going for fear. Fear is always a great motivator in the movies. The man is just a genius, isn't he? Don't worry about this here. Just for the hell of it, it made a lot of money at the box office, but not nearly as much as Herschel's other gang pictures made the same year. The first all-girl biker flick, She-Devils on Wheels. But this happens all the time. You don't have to worry. But that's another story in the continuing series of the sleaziest movies in the history of the world. For now, I'm Joe Bob Briggs, reminding you that the wild rock and roll craze spray painting street gang has been silenced. The falcon has molted, the fat man bowls alone, but the drive-in will never die. She's gonna blow!